Hi there, welcome along back to the Francis Project. Just come up with an idea. A friend of mine who runs the Scott Reed Project on YouTube. We've been talking the other day about coming up with an idea. Obviously I do breads and pastries and stuff like that. So what we're going to go for is we're going to go for a 3 counties pie. So we've got 2 apples locally grown in Worcestershire. Also the pears are locally grown in Worcestershire. This is from an old spot pig, which is a Gloucestershire old spot pig. So we're going to chop those up and dice those up. Tewkesbury mustard, which is obviously local, down Tewkesbury, just down the road. Need some lard and some butter, strong bread flour. We've got some apple juice, which is also pressed in Ledbury in Herefordshire, which is just down the road as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all those ingredients one by one and show you how to put together a 3 counties pie. So the first thing that you need to do is make your pastry. So what we've got in here is we've got 500 grams of strong bread flour. We've got 125 grams worth of butter there for you, salted butter, and 125 grams worth of lard. Also you need 175 millilitres of cold water. Basically what you do is you put your lard into your flour like so, stick your butter in on top. Now what you need to do then is you need to get your fingers in there and rub all the flour around until you get something like a breadcrumb mixture. So if you carry on doing that, so as you can see now, I've worked in the bread and the lard. I've turned that into quite a breadcrumby mixture now. And basically all you do is you put the lard and the butter in with your flour and just mix it through your fingers like that, and just keep doing that for about 5-10 minutes until everything goes really breadcrumby. Once you've done that, all you need to do then is grab all your 175 millilitres of water, get that there in there as well. You can use a bread dough mixer if you want. I prefer to do it with my hands, but I'm going to mix that up for you, turn that into our pastry, and then all we'll do then is we'll stick it back in the bowl, stick it in the fridge for a while we get our filling done. So there you have our dough mixture done now. That's ready to go into our pie bases. We'll come back to that a little bit later, but the best thing to do now is, especially if you're working in a warm kitchen, is get that in the fridge, leave it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. And then we're going to move on to the filling. Now what you can see I've got here is this is come specially from one of Scott Reed's old spotted pigs that he had, a Gloucestershire old spot pig that he butchered, and we split that between us so it's cost effective between the 2 families. And we've had some of this in the freezer. Ideally it'd be nice to be fresh, but we've got this one out of the freezer that's been sat in there for quite a while. Defrosted it, and all you do, basically, we took all the fat off it already, we've cut all the fat off it. Then all you need to do is get a pair of scissors, dice it up as it's going in, dice it up to a bowl, and get that ready for the next part of cooking your pie. So here you can see that we've got a pan at the ready now. I've got just a little bit of olive oil in there, and what we're going to do is we're going to brown off our pork. As you can see, this is locally made in Roots, which is just down the road from me in Worcestershire, and this is apple juice. Now you could do this with a Perrier if you wanted to. I'm doing it with an apple juice because I'm going to feed one of these pies to my son later today. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to just pop in there a little bit of apple juice just to get things going now. We put that in there like so. And yes, you will get a bit of a crackling. That's not a problem. Just be careful that you don't let it go spilling over the top too much though, because you will have a little bit of a fire. Just got to be very careful in what you're doing. So we've got the apple juice in there, we've got the pork in there all diced up, and basically what we're going to do now is we're just going to turn the heat down a little bit now that we've got that heat piping in the pan. Move our pork round, and we're just going to brown that off, and then we're going to put it to one side while we make our pie bases. So as I said, just brown off your pork, and then just leave it to one side. It'll be okay for a while you're making your pastry, and we're going to go back onto our pastry right now. So then, what we're going to do now is onto our pastry. Make sure you've got a flour shaker, lightly flour down the surface so that you don't get any stickiness. Also don't forget to do your rolling pin as well, a little bit on one side and then just roll it around with your fingers. So you've got a unsticky rolling pin, on goes your pastry there. Give it a good push around there, give it a good knead because it's been in the fridge for a bit, so basically you need to just get it moved around a bit, because you've got to remember that we're going to spread this out quite thinly because we're going to put it in some little pie dishes, and we're going to make some small pies that you can buy in the shops. Hopefully you're going to enjoy this. This is what we're going to call a 3 counties pie. Never been attempted before. I don't think there's a recipe out there for it. It's something that I've come up with a friend of mine, and hopefully we're going to get this looking really nice and tasting really nice for you. As you can see now, that dough's looking really good. It's looking really elasticy. That's what you want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start spreading that out with our rolling pin and start making our pie bases. Now, just before we put our pie bases into the base of our pies, make sure that you put some olive oil just slightly baste it with a basting brush there, so you get yourself some olive oil and baste all the way around there, because you don't want the bottom of your pie sticking to your little pot. But also, before you do that, once you've rolled out your piece of pastry, you should be able to get, we're going to do 4 today, so I'm going to get my pie dish on there, just with a sharp knife, just go around the edge like that, as you do, nice and carefully, so you get a nice lid for your pie. If you just pull your pastry over, we'll just pull it to one side for now, and then just lift that up nice and carefully. And as you can see, you've got your pastry lid there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop that behind me now. I'm going to stick down a piece of grease-proof paper, and we're going to come back and we're going to use that very shortly. So as you can see, we've got our pastry now spread out. It's a little over, I'd say about 3 mil thick. We've got our little pie dish there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plonk that over, and we're going to nice and neatly just dip it into the pie base, easing it in with your fingers. Don't push too hard because you'll break the pastry, and you want this, when you turn this upside down on a plate later on, you want it to come out all in one if you can. So just be very careful when you put that in. Just lifting the pastry round and feeding it into the bottom of the dish nice and easy. It doesn't take too long. Just be very careful you don't prod it with the end of your finger. Try and use your knuckles and get your knuckles in there, which is the better way of doing it. And then once you've got it into your pastry dish as best you can, then flatten him over the edges like so, and then quite easy, get yourself a sharp knife. We'll do it on the table so you can see what's going on, and you just go along the edge of the dish like so, and just cut off the excess, holding your finger right next to the knife so that you don't pull the pastry too far out of the dish. We'll just go around, just taking off the excess first of all. Sometimes very difficult if you haven't got a half decent knife, and I don't know where my other sharp knife's gone at the moment, but we're getting around that, so that's fine. So once we've got that off, we'll just take that off there and we'll trim that up in a bit. What we're going to do then is we'll just pick it up, and then you can trim it off in the air like that, which is a lot better. It's a lot easier to do it that way. Just grab hold of it, trim it off with the edge of the knife, going round and round and round. There you go, you've got a nice neat edge then. And then what you can do then is you can put we'll put our filling in very shortly, and once we put our filling in, we'll put our pie top on top. Put those to one side, we'll get the other ones done, and we'll be right back with you in a minute. So as you can see here, what we've got is we've got 2 locally grown apples, 2 locally grown pears. Now you can skin these if you want to. I'm going to leave the skins on, because I like the skins on a lot of my food, so I'm going to leave them on in the pie. All you need to do is cut them up, decore them, chop them up into little diced pieces, stick them in a bowl ready to go in your filling. So as you can see here, we've got our pork simmering here. We've just browned it off nicely. Now we're going back to our filling a little bit. We've got 1 apple and 1 pear left over, because I've realised that when I cut the 1 apple and the 1 pear up, there was more than enough to go with our filling. So we're only going to go down to 1 apple and pear on this recipe we're doing for 4 pie dishes. Now that's nicely simmering, it's nicely browned off. I'm just going to stick the apples and pears chopped up into there, and I'm only going to stir that for about 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. That's all I want to do, is stir that for about 2 or 3 minutes. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to drain some of the juices off into a jug, and then we're going to start filling our pie bases out. So as you can see, that's been cooking away for about 2 or 3 minutes. Right, we're going to just knock that off now. Bring one of our pie bases over, and what we're going to do now is we're going to just grab ourselves a nice ample bit of meat with just a little bit of juice. If you leave it in the bottom of the pan, you can do that. You don't have to throw it down the drain. Mixing it up with our apples and our pears with the skin on, and some nice Gloucestershire pork in there as well. I'm just going to bring that level with the top there. Now it's up to you, you can add the pepper whilst you're cooking the pork. What I tend to do is I tend to add it just a little bit after, so that when it goes into the cooking you've got your own individual taste in your pies. What we've got here is, what I would say is use black pepper, but I've just been introduced to a rainbow pepper mill, and the pepper out of it is absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some of that, some rainbow pepper in there, and I'm going to do this for each one as well. But obviously use whatever you feel you're comfortable with. You can use black pepper, you can also use all kinds of things. And then obviously what we're going to do next is we're going to put our pie topper on. So as you can see then, we've got our pies filled out, and make sure you pack in right up to the top, right nice level. You pack in all your filling in there. Get yourself some egg yolk in a glass, nice and mashed up with a fork, beat them together, and then just go around the edges of each pie dish. I've done all the others already, so you just got to go around the edge of it like so. If you go around the edge of it to make sure that you get that seal on the pie, because you want all the juices to stay in there. We're just going to put that to one side now. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring over our pie tops, and we're going to stick those there. That's on the greaseproof paper. And we're going to get our Tewkesbury mustard. This is another one of our little tricks that we're going to do. And we're going to get ourselves about half a teaspoon out. I'm going to dollop that on like so, and I'm just going to roll that around the top of the pastry case, the top of our pastry case, because I want that to seep in to the pork and the apple and the pear that we've got in there. Tewkesbury mustard is absolutely gorgeous. Us English, we do like our mustard really hot, but this one's not a hot one. This is more of a fruity, tangy mustard, so it does really complement pork and beef. So we're going to get that on there, on our tops there, so that we've got a nice spread, but not up to the edges, because obviously we want the edges to be sealed by the egg yolk. So we'll dollop that on like so. It's just a little bit more on that, and we'll dollop that on like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drop my cooker lid down out the way, move that to one side. We're going to bring out one of our pie bases and our pie lids. We're going to safely put that over the top now that we've got our egg yolk on it. And then all you need to do then is you need to grab yourself a fork, get yourself a fork and turn it over, just on the edge of your pie dish, go all the way round like so, so that you've got a nice seal on your pie all the way round, so that that fork's biting into the dough underneath your lid. I mean, you can press it down with your fingers, make pretty patterns with different kitchen utensils, is up to you. I normally just use a fork because it's a lot easier. Okay, so there you have your pie there, and then all you need to do then is a couple of little holes, let it breathe a little bit, and there you have it. And what you do then, you get your oven on around about gas mark 8. Once it's got up to temperature, bring it down to gas mark 6, stick that in the oven then for something between 45 and 55 minutes, depending on how big your pie dish is. Bring it out, see what you think. So as I was saying, you can either use the fork to do your little edges like you want to, or I use one of these because there's pepper in these and there's not pepper on those ones. Basically I've used the other end of the fork to make a pattern with it. So those have been in the oven now for around about 45 minutes. Just took them out, and as you can see, just tip one of them up for you. I can't tip it because they're very hot at the moment, but as you can see, nice and golden brown from the egg that we put on top just before they went in the oven. I'm going to let that cool down just a little bit, and then we're going to try a piece. So there you have it. We've just opened him up, started to cool down a bit, and as we opened him up, some of those lovely juices started to roll out from the pear and the apple. I'm just going to tuck into that. Bit of pear, bit of apple there. Apple always complements pork, with the pepper in there as well. And I can taste that Tewkesbury mustard just seeping into it. That is what the Scott reproject would say is absolutely gorgeous. It's really come together nicely. Try a bit of the pastry and get some off. Oh yeah, that's really rich, beautiful that is. You taste all that Tewkesbury mustard and those apples and those pears. It's really come together nicely. I'm really pleased with that. Obviously I'm going to do some twisting touches over that over the next couple of months, and we'll go for different things with it. But yeah, that's a typical, what I've put together as a 3 counties pie. That's ingredients come from Gloucestershire, Herefordshire and Worcestershire. Try it out, see what you think.